I don't want to get into it.
And ain't nobody gonna stop me.
Front yard both times. Fucking bath towel boy over here.
Maybe you've just grown up a little bit. Maybe you've matured a little bit more. And then you realize, holy shit, that was I can now take that as a lesson, when at the time I took it as just like a downfall or a negative thing. And then you applied it as a lesson that ended up eventually building you as part of your positive persona, and like things that built you up. Such a negative thing turned you into a positive person.
Would you call that like failure? What would you call that?
I mean, failure is just kind of perspective. If you view it as a failure, then you're going to just attach that as a failure. If you have the mentality of just like thinking this is a building block, not necessarily like I mean, a lesson for sure, but I mean, you can view it as a failure and be okay with it and see the positives out of the failure, or you could view it as a failure and just take all the negative out of it, and that's all you're trying to get out of that particular failure, and then it fails to become a lesson to you.
Mm-hmm.
So lessons are all around us. It's all about perspective and what you choose to take out of situations and incidents in your life.
I mean, yeah, lessons are part of life. And I mean, there's no way to go through life without learning a bunch of lessons, whether you learn it from yourself or from somebody else or watching somebody else go through something. Lessons are everywhere. I think that's really good advice, or a good way of looking at shit.
I mean, that's why people say, teach you a lesson. Or, well, did that teach you a lesson? I mean, yeah, you whooped my ass. But did it teach you something?
Yeah.
If you choose to just be like, fuck, I just got my ass whooped, or I got in trouble for this for whatever reason, like, if you don't choose to take the other side of it, the lesson portion of it, then you're just going to continue making the same mistakes. And when that happens, then you got to kind of look in the mirror like, hey, it's like a cat that crossed the road, and saw 5 of his other brothers and sisters get ran over from a car. Like, they didn't learn a lesson because they ran across the road too and got hit. Like,
yeah,
you
can't learn that for yourself. Yeah, you got to learn it from watching shit happen. Yeah.
And I mean, learn the lesson the hard way. Sometimes you got to do that. Sometimes you take advice or hear advice, but not take advice, and choose to ignore the advice. And when the lesson gets taught to you, it's the hard way. And that's the only way you're going to learn it. But as long as you learn it and don't fucking just ignore it.
Yeah, that's a big one. I mean, if people ask for advice, like if you're asking or searching for it, you probably should listen. I mean, otherwise, what's the point of asking? I mean, if you don't listen to it, are you just wanting somebody to tell you what you want to hear?
Exactly. I was just about to go down that exact same scenario. It's like when people seek for advice and they dismiss it until they come across advice that aligns with what they believe should be happening in a particular situation. It's like if you tune out all the opposing opinions that you have, then you're only looking to gain shit for your side of the story, or for things that already put you in this wrong spot.
Exactly.
So,
and
what's the point of asking for advice?
Exactly. What is the point? I mean, to align with your views. I mean, if you want to ask, let's put it this way. The reason why I ask usually is to, maybe someone will point something out that I haven't thought of, or I'll tell them like where I'm at maybe what they think, see what they have to say, or maybe say, all right, well, here I see where you're at. Maybe over here, let me just tell you a little something, something here. And if you don't take in that, for one, you're probably a fucking moron. But two, you're wasting the other person's time.
Yeah, 100%.
You can't
100%.
be, you can't be asking just to fucking ask or ask to have somebody, well, let me just tell you exactly what you want to hear. Because, I mean, if you knew that you were right the whole time, then why would you ask? Why wouldn't you just go do it? Obviously, there's something in your mind where you're like, man, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So I've always had like a struggle with, that type of stuff with some people who ask or who seek something and they don't even like listen or they don't even factor that into their decision. They're just like, no, I don't like it.
Some of the most frustrating thing is when you're an outsider looking in on a lot of situations, you have a much clearer view, especially if you're close to the situation. And so when you can noticeably see somebody is blinded in this particular avenue, it's like, and so you give them the advice and you say something that is so completely obvious to you, and then it turns into an argument or basically getting defensive and saying, no, that's not it at all. Yeah. And then let's say whatever the scenario is, what the advice that you told them would have immediately changed the outcome of what happened. And then let's say it happens again and again, and they keep coming to you for advice. At some point, it's just like, hey, I'm done doing this because all I am to you is someone to spew your word vomit at. You just need to talk to me. I mean, if that's the case, if you just need a vent session, have at it. Don't ask for my advice. I'll just sit here and listen. And that's fine. Some people just need that. Sometimes they just need to get it off their chest. Yeah. But
and that's more like, hey, let me tell a problem.
Yeah, if I'm gonna emotionally
invest, this bugs me. All right, go ahead. It bugs you and this and this. Mm-hmm. But if you're like at a crossroads or having a big dilemma in life or something, you should fucking pay attention.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because sometimes all you need to do is get it out.
Yeah,
you need to get it out there, and usually if you just need to word vomit and just kind of just release it, that's all you need to do. You already have stuff kind of figured out in your mind which way you need to go. You have a good feeling of where you're going to go, but something still frustrates you and you just need to say it out loud. Then sometimes that's all you need. But if you're truly looking for advice and help, then don't turn away advice and help. Like, sometimes it's not good advice, it's bad advice, and that's definitely something that you have to figure out for yourself. But if the advice isn't like terrible intentions, at least give it a thought. Like, just think about, okay, well, if I were to take this advice, how does this align with my mindset or my view on the matter?
Yeah, and how could I maybe think a different way or a different outside the box on this certain scenario and give you a different perspective, because a lot of life is perspective. And
absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, everyone needs a good vent session, right? Everyone needs
everybody needs one.
And that's just more like the bitching thing. Like, yeah, this is fucking stupid. Can you believe this? Blah, blah, blah. Like, what a moron. Yeah, you're not really asking for advice. You're just getting it off your chest because it's been bugging you. But when you're like seeking help or seeking something, that's one of my fucking worst things that I hate. Is I'm like, you don't even care what I say. Why am I talking? Like, you can lead a horse to water. You can't make him drink. I get it. But all it does is, for me, over the long periods of times when I've done that, like, all it does now is I just cut people off. Like, if you don't take, into consideration what I say or anything that I said, and you just do what you told me that you thought you should do, then I quit helping out, or even letting it cross my mind because I'm like, dude, you didn't even hesitate. You didn't even think about what I said. You just went and did what you were going to do. Like, what's the point of wasting my hour that we had that chat, you know? Like,
yeah. I mean, it's definitely there's two sides of that. Like if sometimes as the recipient of that, you don't know, like, are they seeking my advice? Are they venting? So as definitely if you're gonna go like a vent session, just like I just need to get this off my chest. Just listen. Because that's sometimes all you need is just someone to listen. You're not looking for them to solve your problems and answer your questions. You just need to get it out there because it's going on in your mind. So getting it out there is saying it out loud so that, you know, you can hear yourself saying it out loud rather than just having those thoughts in your mind.
yes. And I hear you on that, and that's one side, but those typically don't involve like a bunch of questions or a dilemma or a fork in the road, you know.
Mm-hmm.
They might a little bit, but you know, it's usually more of like, hey, this is dumb. But if, you know, when you hear the question somewhere in the line of bitching or whatever, like, hey, what should I do?
Mm-hmm.
Then it becomes advice. At least, you know, for me. And then
that's when it should be, as a reciprocant, just kind of become all ears. And if you don't have good advice or you don't exactly know what to say, then just be freaking honest about it. Like, just like, yeah, that's tough. Like, I honestly don't know what to say about that. Like, you know, and then let me think about it a little bit. But you don't just want to spout out some advice that's, you know, top of your head, and just all of a sudden you're just like, holy shit, I can't believe I told you this. That's terrible of me.
yeah.
But
I mean, you should always probably lead with, hey, I don't know, but
yeah,
here's maybe what I think, maybe, or something along those lines. Because if you just start spouting off like you know everything and they do take your advice and it's terrible advice, then it's on you.
oh yeah, they're like, oops,
But
that was terrible advice.
also, that's why when I talk to some people, you know, certain scenarios are a little different, but for majority, it's always like pretty vague or, you know, maybe a concept rather than like, hey, do this. You know, it might be like, well, if this is kind of going on, here's my kind of thoughts on what the other person might be thinking or doing, and here's maybe, you know, what's going on in your mind on what the scenario is. Maybe pick their brain a little bit on, you know, all the aspects of it, and then kind of read it and then be like, all right, well, if this is going on, this is probably what they're thinking or whatever. And, you know, maybe think of it like this way or whatever. Like, it's not like, hey, do this, do this, do this. It's more of like, hey, you're your own fucking person. I haven't been in your shoes. I haven't lived that scenario. I can only go off of what you've told me. So it's more of a, you know, scenario type. I don't know, generalization. I don't know. I don't think generalization is the right word, but
I think, I mean, a huge part of that also determines on the relationship of the person that you're having the conversation with, because
yeah, that's a really good point.
naturally you can't go to an acquaintance who, you know, you get along, you never had a, you know, bad time together, but you don't know the in depths of each other or have spent real actual quality time together. I think those ones are kind of expected to be not as involved and more of an ear for you to vent to,
Yep.
rather than seek feedback from them, because they don't know you that well, or, you know, maybe even caught them off guard. Like, man, I didn't realize that we were on this level. So I think, you know, if they don't give feedback, you can't just, you know, cut them off and be like, oh, well, screw you, you don't care about me, because they're not that involved. And
Yeah.
that's just kind of how their role has been as just an acquaintance. So I mean, that doesn't mean they don't care. They just don't know enough to actually do anything else other than, you know, give in to what you're saying and say, oh yeah, I agree with you, I agree with you, I agree with you, because that's all it's going to turn into if they try and give you advice, because they don't know any better than, like, it's just like, well, shit, this is kind of weird. Well, yeah, that's fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They could hear one side of your weird scenario and be like, yep, this that sounds about right. But I mean, for me in those scenarios, what I tend to do is give more of like a life lesson or a life, whatever that I've learned, and be like, well, here's kind of what I think in general in life is this and this and this. And hopefully it pertains a little to their situation, but especially for those ones, it's got to be pretty general because you don't know enough about them. You don't know who they are enough or even who they're dealing with or even what it is besides like, hey, well, this person so-and-so did this to me and, and all you can do is, oh, yeah, well, that sounds a little fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you don't know all the ins and outs without digging into their life story for an hour. Then
yeah, you're not gonna do that. So yeah, absolutely, just be very vague and kind of just listen to what kind of they're talking about, and if you have any particular situation that kind of applies to what they're talking about, you don't have to go into details about what your situation was, but kind of just like you were saying, just, hey, I went through this little battle in my life and this is how I handled it. This is what I learned from it. And this is how I dealt with it. Maybe try and think of it this way.
Yep.
Or try and I mean, there's
100%.
the one thing that I feel like gets overused, and it's just, well, put yourself in their shoes. It's like, no, I'm in my shoes. Like, I can be empathetic and I can kind of understand, but I'm not in their shoes. Like, they're wearing the shoes that I'm arguing with right now. Let's stay there. And how can all these shoes walk together?
Right.
Those look like comfortable shoes.
Yeah, it's yeah, that's an old cliche, and
it is, and it's just like, I mean, it's hard because I'm not gonna say I've never like looked at it from someone else's point of view, but it's almost like you're passing what I'm saying and just saying immediately, well, I look at it from that angle. And sometimes that helps, but it's like, well, I kind of need to figure out my angle, at least where I want to go with this, before I start arguing against myself from the other angle. And I mean, that might just be me. I'm not saying that works for everybody. Sometimes maybe that's exactly what you need to do. I've tried that, and it hasn't really helped out a ton, but it could help out, you and you, anyone listen. Like, I mean, that could be the advice that I was talking about earlier that is bad advice for you. I don't know you, and you have the choice, free will to take that advice or not take it.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think that applies to people who are like more self-centered or selfish. I think that applies to them a lot more than like other people who have, gone through some shit or aware of their surroundings and shit like that. I think that 100% because like if you're, if let me quote little Andrew Tate. I see him on TikTok. I'm taking my shits.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Yeah, everyone's always like, oh, the most toxic man, but he spits a lot of good shit. I mean, for real, like he spits a lot of like real shit. People don't like it. They just take him a little too serious, I think.
Might be the delivery too.
Yeah, definitely that. And he throws in his little jabs, whatever, like, well, like a millionaire like me, his little jabs. But I just laugh at that shit. Like, he might be serious. He might, whatever. I just take it as like, hey, he's probably fucking with you, guy. But he was just saying, and he's like, oh, women are bad drivers. And they were having this big old spiel about all this. And they were like, well, you're not all women are bad drivers, blah, blah, blah. So then he hits him with, well, in my experience, and he's like, I've around my dudes, my boys, all good drivers. The women I'm around are all terrible drivers. He's like, I've been in a few car crashes. They've been all of them. So if I'm in a situation where I need to drive, I'm going to do it. And he's like, that's not on any statistics. He's like, that's just my scenario and my situations. And that's his life experiences. And I think that's kind of what you're kind of saying. You can't always put yourself in someone's shoes who's been like, well, I'm with all these girls who are only good drivers. Well, okay. Well, that doesn't mean that there aren't fucking terrible ones or they don't pay attention or, you know what I mean? Like any of that shit. And I think he makes some valid points like that. Is why I kind of quoting him and shit. Because
Well, the problem is, I think a lot of people take things so literal nowadays. Is very like, I mean, it's documented. It's you can sit here and play rewind and pick apart a sentence and do anything. That it's like, I mean, you have to be so careful with your words, or else it's gonna get thrown around that you're this, and this piece of shit, blah blah blah. You could go your entire life without saying anything terrible. You say one thing that was clipped and caught, and you're branded that way. Some people
I hate
just don't
that.
give a shit about it.
Yep.
Oh, I hate that so bad. But then you get people like Andrew Tate who just says, whatever the hell. No, what's what I'm looking for? No
Repercussions.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's got repercussions, but no regret, I guess, maybe.
Yeah, regret's a
regret
good
of
one,
saying
or
no.
no care, no.
Yeah, he has no
It doesn't affect
scare.
him.
Yeah, he's not worried about the repercussions because he just says what he says, and good for him. And
yeah, he knows who he is.
Yeah, just
so I respect
just like
it, dude.
It's like anyone else. Like sometimes you don't agree with what he says, and it's like fine, but that's not gonna. You're not gonna fly off the hinges and be like, oh well, I loved 99 of the posts and the clips that he's made, but this one, no, I don't agree with it all. But if you've only seen one and that was the one, like that could just change your entire perspective of it. Like that's so weird to think.
Yeah,
That's just like saying you can have 99 good days with somebody and have one shit day, and if they hold on to that shit day, they're going to think of you as a fucked up clip on the internet that they don't agree with and they don't appreciate, and this is the way you think when they forgot about the 99 other good videos. Like that's all perspective. Like, you could hate someone that you appreciate and love and you enjoy their content, but one thing comes out and then all of a sudden boom, it's over.
Like that's what I don't understand about people. If somebody says something you don't like and it affects you that much where you're going to speak out about it or do all this, and you look at one clip, first of all, go fuck yourself.
Yeah, seriously.
Second of all, if it's going to bug you that bad and you can't just brush it off, be like, yeah, what a tool. And then go on with your day. And if you see him again and like, if it bugs you that bad where you're going to get in the comments and spend actually your precious time, like, go and look at some other videos. See what they're really about. You might have just saw one thing you didn't agree with. Or, it might have been something that he just said out of context. Or whoever said. Might not even be him. But, like, if you're just looking at it as one little, tiny little thing and you're going to try to tear something apart, go look in the goddamn mirror and look how many flaws you have, motherfucker, and see how many people would tear you apart online if they knew everything about you. But people who are just unafraid, I mean, you just got to have respect for people like that. Bro, I mean, whether you agree with everything or not, you got to agree with some things because they're the truth. And also the fact that he's putting out there and he just doesn't care all about what everyone thinks about him. I mean, that should be a lesson right there. Honestly, I dig the guy. And here's why. I feel like he's bringing balance back to, the internet. Like masculinity and it's so frowned upon and it's so shoved down and you're not supposed to do it. And I'm like, why? Why can't we be men? Why can't... I was like, we're over here electricians and linemen and oil workers and coal miners doing the tough work that nobody wants to do, what would the world be without men and masculinity and hard work and busting your ass and being strong? The world would fall apart. And then so you're just trying to take it away because somebody told you to or somebody swayed you that way. Like, you're a moron if you think that the world doesn't need masculinity. And I'm happy that he's trying to bring the balance back, and people are like, oh well, maybe he's right, or maybe it gives a voice to other people. That's kind of what I like to do on here, is give people so they're like unafraid to speak their fucking minds. Because if you're just shunned and whatnot and you hate the guy so much, you know, like what is that? You're just part of the fucking problem.
Well, because it's nothing to him at all.
No.
I mean, he's got fucking probably tens of thousands of freaking angry people that don't like what he says and disagree and get so mad and just want to go use all their emotion on letting him know in the comment section of, you're so fucking wrong and you're such a piece of shit, you blah blah blah. And he's just like,
do you think he
don't
reads
care.
the comments?
Yeah. No, fuck
Do you
no.
think he's gonna waste his time reading your stupid ass comment that you're raged about, and you're like, "Oh, I got him good."
Oh,
No,
got him real good.
motherfuckers, you guys are stupid. Don't waste your time and energy. First of all, if you
That's
don't
where
like it, scroll.
Yeah, the difference is like you waste your time on getting enraged and freaking writing those messages and letting him know when you're not even letting him know. And he doesn't give a shit. He says whatever the hell he wants and doesn't give a shit what you have to say.
Now,
That's
at the end of the day, it
he's
doesn't
formulated
affect
his
anyone.
opinions.
Yeah, it doesn't
I mean,
affect anyone, right? I mean,
yeah.
besides him just talking, that's what blows my mind, dude. Everyone has their opinion. That's what people talk about every day. And they just are so upset at his opinion. The only opinions I care about are the people super close to me, which I can have an effect over. I can talk to in person, or the fucking government or the president, because they affect all of our lives. That's it. Other
Think
than
of
that,
this. So, I mean, just imagine everything you know about him and all that you know about him you see on clips on the internet, interviews, all this stuff. Imagine camera shut off, microphone shut off, and he's the complete opposite person. And he's just an actor. I mean, that's how much people can be persuaded. You can have your entire thoughts and beliefs on this guy, but then that's over, and that's not how he thinks. I mean, we could come on every podcast right now and do the exact opposite and say the exact opposite of how we feel and completely fool everybody listening thinking this is how we feel. And then when we get off, just start boobing and crying and just apologizing to each other for everything we said and just being the complete opposite. But
yeah,
the way the world portrays you is what you project. And
Yep.
you could fool so many people. I mean,
oh yeah.
It's just crazy because it's so readily available that you could literally just fucking become whoever the hell you want. If day one that, let's say you start a YouTube channel, day one, you come up with this character. I mean, a great example is the streamer Dr. Disrespect. Everyone views him as Dr. Disrespect and his character that he created. Now everyone thinks that that's who he is and how he is. Cameras come off. He's a different guy. His name's Guy. I don't know if you knew that, but his name's Guy.
Nice. I didn't know that, but
yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah, he's probably a good dude, and he might have this similar sense of humor, but he's just playing into it. It's an act. It's a stream. He's playing a role. Like
he's an entertainer.
like your people that you watch, on Netflix. They're just actors. It's not who they are.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just crazy that how much people's minds have been changing lately and how people get so offended and all this and this. And it's like all they're doing is watching TV clips, podcasts, everything like that. And it's like, how do you know that you're not being fooled by what you're listening, what you're watching? Like, and then you're thinking all this shit, and then you get so much hate and hating people over something that maybe they don't even really care about. They're just wanting their numbers to go up. So they say a little spicy comment, and they saw the numbers go up. So they roll with it, and they roll with it, and they roll with it. Because every time they roll with it, they get so much hate, which is doing nothing but boosting their views and making them more entertaining. And then boom, that's who they became as a Dr. Disrespect. That's their character. And you're wasting all your time just getting so fucking mad at them and letting them know you're expressing your opinion in the comment section. And then all of a sudden you just puff your chest, and I told him.
Yeah, I told him. See, I got a couple of likes on my comment. See?
How about that?
Yeah, and in reality, wasting your time and energy on that shit. Like, it's just an act, or even if it is them, what are you going to do? Do you have any power? You think anyone important's in the comment section? Because they're not. You know, like, they got other shit going. You know, they're doing way more important things, and you can't let anyone fucking bug you that much. If you don't like it, just scroll by. That's it. Don't waste your time. Oh, I got to get them canceled. I got to make sure that they know, or somebody has to shut them down. Why? Why? Because your views are so much better than theirs? Says
your
who?
Your views are just so much different.
Yeah. Says who that they're better? You know?
So that, I mean, one person's views are on the extreme one side, and the other person's are on the complete opposite side. Like, do you think either one of you are going to come to be like, oh, you know what? You're right. No, you're right. No, you're right. Like, that's just not going to happen. You're just arguing to argue. And who are you trying to convince? Like, are you really trying to convince that person? And at what point are you going to stop arguing? Like, when they agree? Like, because usually at that point, it's not going to be like, oh, okay, or an understanding. Like, okay, maybe you understand this, but what's going to stop you from, okay, come think like me?
Yep.
Like, that's just, I mean, that's just life in general. You can't fuel yourself on someone else, on focusing on someone else and trying to persuade them and change their mind, or change the way they are. Like, there's no point. Try and see things that you do like, or if you don't, then don't even bother. There's plenty of people on this planet. Go meet someone else. Go watch somebody else. Like, just what's the point? Why are you putting yourself through that?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
And also, motherfuckers, quit acting so goddamn tough, because we know in real life, if there wasn't a screen and a keyboard there, in real life, you wouldn't say shit to your coworkers or shit to your boss. You're going to fucking bow down, because this is the only place you do it at. Because fucking real dudes fucking say shit in real life to real people, and they don't waste their goddamn time on the fucking comment section. That's the way it is. You got a problem, you go handle it. And if you can't do anything about it, then don't worry about it. Especially with some dude on the internet. I mean, if I ever see anything I don't like on TikTok or YouTube, you don't click on it, or you scroll, or you move to the next thing. If you don't like it, you don't waste your goddamn time, because ain't nobody got time for that. I mean, the best thing that's gonna do is give you that confidence that you showed them for about 5 minutes. And then what?
Good for you.
Good job, buddy. You want a round of applause? Probably the only one you're going to get.
Maybe that's what you needed to get off your chest, but something that influenced you that much that has nothing to do with your day-to-day life. Or let's just say that you come across a video that, you know, does kind of touch on something that you're dealing with personally, and someone is ranting about it, and it immediately reflects what you're going through. Like, what's the point of leaving that comment? Maybe that's, you just need to get off your chest, and boom, there you go. But getting something off your chest is like the whole point. You get it off your chest so it's not on anymore. You don't put it back on your chest when you're done. Like,
right.
What the hell is that? What are you, bench pressing? What's going on here?
Yeah. And also, anyone could be toxic for a minute. I mean, shit, I could be toxic super easy. Flip of a switch, and I'm all about motivation and helping people out, but I can be like, all these women drivers, they're the worst fucking driver I've ever seen. Get to the gym, you goddamn pussies. Figure it the fuck out. Quit getting beat up by your girl. Put the goddamn toilet seat up, you fucking little bitch. You know, I can
See,
be toxic all goddamn day.
Imagine if that was clipped right there. That would be just like, oh,
That'd be my new persona. My new persona.
Holy shit, man!
Can you believe that? Jesus.
That's what's so dumb. It's like the whole character of somebody is just defined in a clip at points, and that's so unfair.
It is, though. It is, and I get so appalled. Like, if you're gonna go back, how many years Kevin Hart got ripped on Twitter and ripped on his, stand-ups about it. Making jokes back in the day, about his kid being gay. He made jokes about it. And, people maybe not have as much knowledge as they do now, but you're going to go back and try to cancel the dude and try to make him life hell because of what he said way back when at a different point in time and a different point in his life when he's younger. Like, how many stupid things did everybody else say when they were 20 or whatever? Like, grow the fuck up, people.
How many icons would be completely thought of differently if their little portions in life were clipped, anything they said? And it's just dumb. That's just where it's like, you're just like, why did it come to this point where we're trying to rip people down and we're trying to,
and why
I get turned into just a bunch of lawyers out here.
Yeah.
It drives me nuts.
I don't know why or where everyone gets their high and mighty or high horse and think that they're better than the person they're ragging on all the time. They think they're so much better. Well, guess what, people? You probably haven't been through what they've been through. And everyone goes through hard shit. Everyone goes through their own tough times. So next time you guys think about ripping on somebody else for something huge like that, or think that there's a terrible person and this and that, maybe look in the mirror for a minute. Look at your own problem. Look at your own flaws. See what you got going on. And then think twice about if you even want to rip on somebody for something.
Yeah, think of your worst moment and be like, holy shit, if I were perceived like this all the time, I'd be screwed. Like, nobody is proud of their worst moment. That's why you grow from it, and that's why you become better. It's because you have shit moments like that you learn from.
Yeah.
And if you haven't learned from it and grown from it, then you're still probably stuck in the comment section, outperforming
in your mom's
the next
basement.
comment. Like, oh yeah,
battling for likes of the best comment.
There's some of the best TikToks. There's this guy that's like doing electrician work or welding, and he always plays like the shit guy in the comment section. He's like, "Are you kidding me? I've been welding for 89 years. That's a shit weld you did." It's like there's always someone like that in the comment section.
Yeah, dude. It blows my mind that people are like that, or they have enough time, or they think that they're so much better that, I don't know, like, for me, like, even if people are toxic and stupid or saying something off the wall that I'm like, this guy is a complete idiot, you won't see me in the comment section saying a goddamn word, because first of all, what's the point? And second of all, like, why am I so much better? I'm probably not in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, that's the whole point of being, okay with yourself and loving yourself, really, because if you are that focused on negative shit, maybe you haven't had the opportunity to be able to look in the mirror. Maybe you haven't had that moment that's happened in your life that has kind of forced you to. And sometimes you don't even have to be forced to. Sometimes you just are so in tune and in touch with yourself. Hello. That
Hello.
you kind of just have that ability.
And if you haven't had that
the
moment,
empathy.
if you haven't had that moment though, it's coming.
The whole buckle your
Believe
seatbelt.
that. Because if you haven't had that moment, then it's right around the corner. Because I'm pretty sure everyone has that moment, whether they like to admit it or not. That you get plenty of moments. I mean, it's what life's about. You learn all these lessons, learn from them, try to be a better person, try to teach other people some lessons and help them out. And if you're high and mighty and canceling people and trying to get them off the air or shut down their opinions because you don't agree with it, I mean, you got a lot of growing up to do. We got freedom of speech, motherfuckers. We get to say what we want.
Is when you've gone through that moment and that moment's passed and you've actually taken that moment and learned a lesson from it, you feel so much better afterwards. Like, it is just a weight off your chest. And it's almost like looking back and then kind of embarrassed. You're just like, what? Like, that's how I used to think. That's how I was. And it's part of growing up. And you might be at an age physically, but that doesn't mean that you are that mature. And when something happens that humbles you and really brings you and makes you look within and reflect back on everything, like, once that's done with, you're just like, holy shit. That's why you get these old souls that are just so wise. And they've been through plenty of those moments. I mean, it doesn't stop. You constantly learn, but that first time that it's just like, holy shit, my whole life I've been doing this and I'm stuck in my ways and I'm doing this and I don't see the problem, blah, 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 blah. And then bam, you get hit and then you're changed. And then you can't go back to thinking the way you used to because you've gone past that step. You're on the next chapter. You've already read that part. You already know what happens.
Right? Like, wow, I was a moron.
Holy shit, I'm alive?
Yeah.
It's like, what?
Yeah, that worked. And I feel like that's what a lot of people need to learn or realize. And just think, if people were doing that to you all the time, if people knew every dirty, dark secret that you had, and you're trying to rip on somebody for something they did or got caught saying or anything, I mean, first of all, shame on you, but like, you got so much growing up to do. If you're like, well, I'm just so perfect. Can you believe they did this? Well, probably. I mean,
yeah. Can you believe you did what you did? That you're not. Like, think about the worst thing you did right now. Can you believe you did that? Should we post it on the internet for everyone else to see? Are you okay with that?
Yeah, you weirdos.
Okay with the comment section after that? Like, is that what you're doing to build your confidence because of your own insecurities?
Yeah. Like, what happens when you shit your pants at school, motherfucker, and everyone laughed at you, but only your classmates know? You know, you want people to post about that? Or, there's plenty of, like, stupid things that people do or, that they're on the movies or whatever, and people sit and laugh at them, but, I mean, even the people in the dark who maybe don't get caught or whatever. We're just going some fucked up shit right here because I don't really care, but what if you're doing some real fucked up shit? Like, what if you're cranking your pud to, pitch at your cousin or something? Like, some fucking weird ass shit. Nobody knows but you, but what if you got caught with that shit and they got posted over the internet? Now you're the fucking weirdo. You want... Yeah. I mean, that's a very extreme scenario.
Good God.
But I'm just trying to prove a point here. Like, people are doing some fucked up shit or whatever. Like, don't think y'all are just these sweet angels. I mean, shit, we're down here at BYU. People are fucking each other's goddamn armpits.
Good for them.
You know, going to the doctor like, I don't know what this rash is, doc. He's like, well, that's herpes. I don't know how you got it in your pit, but that's that.
Very rare.
You know, and it's like, well, let's put that on blast.
The scary thing is like, I mean, we're adults. I mean, 30s, so we can kind of see it from a different perspective. It's weird to me about growing up as a developing kid, going from early teens throughout high school, how much that type of shit, like one little thing, can influence an entire growing up on people viewing you this way, and then that's the way you're viewed, and you're stuck in that persona of, oh, look what she did, look what he did, and then boom, you're branded. And as a kid growing up, mentally developing and having that type of shit happen to you like that is just very hard to deal with.
Yeah.
And I mean, I really hope, like, I have a lot of faith in humanity that won't happen, but to my children specifically. But if that does happen, like, man, it's a different time, so I'm going to have to approach it differently and think of how I would handle that situation, because I don't know what it would be like for them in that case. I don't know how I would particularly handle it. And I don't think the same things that I think would apply to them, because when I was a kid, if let's just say you're branded as, this kid, picked his butt, sniffed his fingers, picked his nose, and ate his booger. Like, Jesus Christ, he's disgusting. And I'm like,
yeah.
fine, I'd do that. I'm 30. What the hell? Like, I'm just like,
yeah, but people realize then, they're like, well, I might do it too.
oh yeah, but even if they did realize that you did it too, those might be the first people in the comment section to bury that shit and hide that. Like, ew, that's disgusting, even though they just got done doing it after they typed that comment.
No, yeah, well, they did it right before. Oh, you believe this guy?
Oh yeah, the coincidence. Oh, I better type this.
Oh yeah, this fucking weirdo, Jesus. Yeah.
But don't crank your pud for your cousin. Let's just go there.
Yeah, that's a little weird. Yes. All right. It's just it's just crazy the world we live in, and how much is escalating into the blame game and the victim mentalities and the, oh, I'm perfect, but look at that guy. Like, to me, all that does is the person in the comments who's doing all this stuff, all that says to me, and probably everyone else in life, is that you're trying to misdirect your insecurities or the fucked up shit that you've done to point out someone else so you feel better about yourself. Like, oh, I know I did some crazy stuff, but look at this guy. He's wild. And then what? You feel better about yourself, about all the crazy shit that you've done, is probably what's really going on.
It's like you're misdirecting the mob to somebody else.
Yeah.
Like, I've done some terrible shit, but I mean, look what this guy's done.
Yeah,
Let's go get him.
Kiss the
Then you
sister.
join the mob.
Yeah.
Kiss your sister.
Mine was only my cousin.
Yeah,
You're
right. Let's go get him.
You're right. Get him. Get your pitchforks and torches.
Boo.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, bro. But, like, that's what it is. I swear to God.
It's just dumb. And you could even not be writing the comment. You could just be reading all the comments and just, I mean, if you thrive on going in that, then stay away from that. Like, that's just not good.
No, like, you should be doing shit. Because I'll tell y'all from,
just a soap opera.
Yeah. Want that? Go watch General Hospital, dudes.
Days of Our Lives.
And if you really, like, I don't know, if you really think that that's what's gonna make you feel good, or give you any form of fulfillment or anything like that in life, then you're dead wrong, and you've obviously never helped somebody, because helping somebody, through a tough time or through something in their life, or, making sure they succeed in life and then watching them succeed and bust through that moment or overcome an obstacle or go win a championship or whatever you help someone with, that is a million times more fulfilling than anything tearing somebody down will make you feel. 100,000,000%.
Oh yeah, and there's definitely plenty of people that are out there and still doing it. The only fear, and like it could be a reality, which I'm not positive about, but is that generation tends to be pre-internet, pre everything on social media. I mean, there's a lot of YouTubers and influencers that do great things, but they're usually few and far between, and they're big names. Maybe that just might be my own ignorance and not knowing, like not doing enough digging and finding all these particular pages. And if you are one of those, then good for you. Keep doing it. And if you're definitely, a younger generation, then you got the right mentality and you understand it. But there's definitely a lot of people that are on the opposite side of that.
Yeah.
And just don't get it.
Yeah, and there's probably people you're gonna be in the comments now being like, well, no, I know this one young person who did that. Go fuck yourself, little Billy.
Well, good. I mean, I'm glad you know someone like that. That's a good thing. And keep that person in mind.
Yes.
Learn from them.
Exactly. And go get it. I know I've been a little rowdy and fuck yourselves and all this, but bro, though, some people need to hear that shit. Some people need to be told, if I was like, hey, if you're in the comments, you might need to knock it off. Yeah, you ain't gonna listen. We do a lot of shit we say on here, do on here is for a reason. If we're loud and obnoxious or trying to prove a point, yeah, we might be a little over exaggerated or, get a little hyped about some shit. Because I feel like as humanity, like that's what people need. There's plenty of motivational speakers or people, I don't know. I guess they're probably just motivational speakers, but they swear for emphasis and they do it for a reason. Like Tony Robbins only says fuck when he's trying to prove a point. It makes me laugh.
Well, I mean, people listen more when you raise your voice or use a certain word, because usually after that, it's like, oh, fuck, I listened. Like, yeah.
Yeah. And it's good. And people need these days. People need to toughen up, and people need to not take, Andrew Tate. Like, he says some good shit. And if you think he's the worst person online, take a step back, buddy, and really maybe pay attention to what he's saying, and maybe get a concept or a metaphor out of it, and then don't take it so goddamn serious. Because he says a lot of shit, and a lot of it isn't even pointed to like people who are on the rise or with a lot of drive or anything. He says a lot of shit to like these lazy, pals who are just like, well, let's do this, this, and this, and everybody just love everybody, and I don't want to work, and just gimme, and oh, you said this, I want to cancel this guy. If you're them, you know who you are. But
The funny thing is, like, he can say a 100% fact and say something, but people will choose to hear or choose to listen to what they want to hear. So you could read a long book, but you hate the one chapter on it, and that's a terrible book, even though you like the book, or the book was just completely true. Like, oh, this chapter sucked. It's like picking apart a sentence and just being like, well, So what you're saying is, and then reconstruct the sentence into this. And it's like, no, did you not fucking listen to me at all?
Yeah.
Like, no, but that's what you said. And it's like, no, that's not what I said, but
That's how you
that's
perceived
okay.
it.
I mean, maybe look at that and be like, that's where your issue is, not my issue, because that wasn't my issue, and I didn't say that. That's where your issue is.
Yeah. And that's just, again, looking in the mirror. And that's a good thing, people. If you don't like looking in the mirror, then you should probably look in the mirror more. If you love looking in the mirror, then you're probably looking for the wrong reasons. You know?
Probably doing your makeup.
Yeah.
Brad's actually personally never seen a mirror he didn't like.
Those are straight facts, dude. I've never seen a mirror I didn't like. When I walk by, I don't get upset.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Why are you
good.
looking at me? Why are you looking at me?
Oh yeah, why are you looking real good today, huh?
I was about to say the same thing.
Oh my god, dude, it's wild, the world that we live in, and well, P, wasn't too bad. What do you think the one lesson you would want to give people? I guess it doesn't have to be what we talked about, but if you had one lesson to give the world or listeners or anyone, I mean, it doesn't have to be like the number one, but maybe top 5, one in the top 5. What would you tell?
I would say one of the biggest ones that took me a long time to actually implement is, and I still struggle a little bit from time to time, but I acknowledge
No one's
it.
perfect. No one's perfect.
I acknowledge it. Maybe it's like after the fact, but I don't let it go, and I will come back to it, is stubbornness. Stubbornness can only, it's basically just like a shield that you put up that you want to just say, I'm right, I'm right, I'm right. And it blocks you out from intel coming in. And maybe they made a good point, and you know that they made a good point while you heard it, but your stubbornness doesn't allow you to receive it that way. And you want to instantly defend against it. And like I said, I've had my good moments, bad moments. I've been told and pointed out my stubbornness. I've acknowledged my stubbornness as it's happening, in particular arguments, or even whether it's work, marriage, friendship. Someone tells me something that I don't particularly agree with or even notice that I'm doing, and I'm stubborn about it. But when I find out, when I think to myself that, yeah, that you're right, but I won't give it up and I won't, break my stance and admit that you have a good point. That's what I have learned to kind of lower my guard, and because it's kind of scary, because I mean, you formed a strong opinion on something, and it forces you to think differently, when typically you're thinking one way and then you think a different way. So that's huge to me, is don't be so goddamn stubborn.
I'm pretty stubborn dude myself. I've had to go through the same challenge of toning it down at times, and at least trying to keep an open mind. Like I take a pretty firm stance on a lot of things I truly believe in, that I know to be true, or I think I know. But when someone hits you with some real shit, and knocks you back a little bit, just be open-minded. I had to learn that too. Is be like, okay, well, that's a good point. It doesn't mean you can't challenge anything ever again, and you got to sway your whole opinion, but just don't be so closed off to the fact that your stance might be a little off, 80% right.
Hand in hand with that, I'll go admit when you're wrong. because that could go along.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
I mean, it is a tough one, but if you fully understand and you know you're wrong, I mean, admit it.
That's
Admit, hey, yeah,
yep.
I'm not right. I'm wrong in this situation, because that can show your ability to, kind of agree. And I mean, yeah, that is a tough. Now I'm thinking about it, buddy.
That's a tough one, dude. That's one of the toughest ones to do. And it's
But that goes along with like pride and stubbornness.
oh yeah, same thing. And yeah,
I mean,
there's
we're Leos.
oh,
We're
I
Leos. What
know.
are we supposed to do?
I know we are, and yeah, that one made you wrong. That one's a real good one. I mean, don't always be agreeable, and there's a couple different avenues, but yeah, exactly what you're saying. Like, yeah, that one's probably one of the, for me at least, that was the toughest one to learn. Just remember when you're wrong, just be like, all right, you're right, and just eat it, because you're wrong. If you're gonna fight it, you're just gonna dig a hole and bury yourself, and you're gonna feel like shit later, and you're gonna ruin a lot of things in your life because you just can't admit that you're wrong. Like, there's nothing wrong with being wrong. The only way to learn is to be wrong. If you didn't go to school and learn, if you're like, 2 + 2 is 3, you're fucking wrong. Just admit you're wrong. If you fight it, you look like a moron, and you're never gonna get past that.
And a lot of people respect the fact when someone is willing to admit when they're wrong. But that doesn't mean fucking rub their nose in it. I mean, you can just be like, "Oh, see, blah blah, I told you."
Right?
Yeah, but you better tone her down, because if we're strongly convinced on something and we get proven we're wrong, be like, okay, you're right, and then I'll take a couple little things. But if you just keep rubbing, oh, remember that one time I was so goddamn right and you were so goddamn wrong, I'm like, well, now I'm just annoyed.
Yeah.
And that's not wrong. I'm just annoyed.
Yeah, what kind of underwear you got on? Because it's about to go over your head, buddy. Wedgie.
Atomic wedgie.
Yeah, 100%, dude. I agree with that one. That one's a tough one. That one's a tough one to admit you're wrong. It's a lot of pride swallowing, but also it just proves that you're willing to accept that you don't know everything, which is a huge part of life. Nobody knows everything, and you should always be thirsty for knowledge and try to soak up as much knowledge as you can. And if you get proven wrong, but okay, I didn't know that. Doesn't mean you're wrong about everything. That's the thing. I think people feel like if they're wrong about something, that they're wrong about everything. No, it just means you're wrong about that one point that you're trying to prove. Your other ones might be right. Your other 7 that you threw are okay, but the 8th one wrong. I mean, shit. If you're 9 for 10, that's 90%. You're fine.
That's pretty good. That's an A-,
right? I think that's pride and shit, and those are good ones. Those are good lessons that everyone's got to learn. Is like the stubborn, the pride. Admit you're wrong. Those kind of all go kind of hand in hand. Synonyms. I think.
What about you? Wow, synonyms. Absolutely, but nice little fucking knowledge drop there.
Oh yeah. My vocabulary's expanding. Right.
Yeah, onto the onomatopoeias.
Oh, anagrams, come on now.
Damn, slow down, buddy. What'd you get, a 90? That's an A-.
Oh yeah, no.
What about you? I guess, what would you say is probably one of your top 5
lessons? So those are at least that topic. They all kind of go. That's definitely in the top 5. Another one I would say is, well, I was gonna go with this one, but I'll change a little bit. Let me go with I think a lot of people have a different view on like hard work, and and things. I feel like a big lesson, and it's a different kind of lesson that, some people think that, hard work is just like, you're going to work for, 15 hours a day and grind yourself to the bone and do all this. But like, hard work is in other aspects of your life. It's in, disciplining yourself. And I guess let's go with discipline. That's probably a better lesson
I
is,
like that.
than hard work. But they're kind of hand in hand. But like, discipline's probably the better way to go with it. So discipline, like, it's hard. Like, it's hard to get up do things you have to do. It's hard to get up at 5 a.m. Go do some shit that you need to go do. It's hard to discipline yourself. Like, well, I could just lay here. I ain't gotta get up. But it's hard. It's hard work to get up and go do stuff early in the morning, or where you don't feel like it, or later on. Like, that's why I love like little tricks. Like PL. I like your Power 15. I think that's awesome. That's a good helper of the discipline to do it every day. For me, like, I tell myself like, hey, just Peace Power 15 for people who haven't listened to the earlier episodes is, when you get home, don't take off your boots, shoes, none of that. Just go clean or do something for like 15 minutes. Go get some shit done. And for me, it's kind of the same, but it's more like I talk to myself. I don't try to like demand myself, like, get up, you puss. Because I'm like, hey, dude, I know who I am. I'm like, hey, get up. I know we talked about it a little bit, but I'm like, hey, you gotta edit the podcast a little bit. You gotta throw it online. I was like, just get up. It's gonna be like an hour. Just get up and go do it. An hour, then you can go back to doing whatever you're doing. Just go spend an hour. All right, go to the gym for an hour. Just go for 1 hour. And it might take a little longer or less or whatever, but just tell yourself whatever you need to go get up and do it. Because if you can get up every day and build a habit, like that hard work, that discipline is so much easier, but it also sets the tone for the rest of your life. And if you can cut out the negativity, and there's so many things that discipline and hard work will do for you. I mean, you can apply discipline to even, like me. I used to get up and be like miserable. Hey, I don't want to go to work. And it set the tone for my whole day, and I was miserable all the time. But then I got up and I was like, no more. No more saying one word negative about work or getting up or anything. You get up because you got to do it. This is just what we do now. And I've trained my brain so much, like, hey, this is what we do now. That I get up, maybe I'll play some tunes or something in the shower, get something going on and set the tone for my day. And I'm going to set a positive one. And being disciplined enough to do that for so long, like, now it's just a habit. Now it's just what I do. I come up in the morning, talk to the crews, and I'm positive, and I'm here to have a good time. Let's kick ass. Let's, set the tone for the day, and that will just carry on throughout the whole day. And that helps so much. That all stems from just little things of being disciplined or, hard work in the morning, of just saying no negativity. Now get up. And it wasn't like anything crazy. It was just like a little flip of me just being like, no, this is what we do. Not like, oh man, if it was Friday, if only it was this, or if only, I could sleep in like an hour longer. I just get up and say, no, this is what we do. You know why? Because we're badass. This is what we do now. And if you have that, like, you just change your perspective, and I'm telling you, everything else throughout the day is just is 20 million times better than being, negative.
So here's a big thing there is, if you think about the structure of growing up, being in school, being a kid, getting out on your own, getting a job, a lot of it is already structured on discipline. You get in trouble, your parents discipline you. You act out in class, your teachers discipline you. You show up late for work, you're disciplined. You do terrible at work, you're disciplined. So a lot of it in those moments, you already understand, hey, if I do this, I'm going to get disciplined for it. There's repercussions to it. And a lot of times you will act a certain type of way to avoid having to get those repercussions. If you allow yourself to have that conversation with yourself, say, hey, if I don't do this, I'm going to beat myself up over it. And that's a lot of self discipline. That's where that characteristic comes into play. It's no one's going to beat you up for it, especially, going from a teen graduating and then going yourself. You go from a formula and a structure that has been built that my parents are going to discipline me, my teachers can discipline me, and then you get into the free world and it's just like I can do whatever the hell I want and no one's going to do shit about it. I can do this and I might get in a little trouble, but guess what? I don't care. If you've built that self-discipline up and just allow yourself to disappoint yourself and that's all that matters, then you're going to know exactly what that particular discipline I think you're talking about applies.
Yes. And to add a little onto that, it's nobody's perfect. I'm talking about this. I'm not perfect. Like there are days that I get up and I don't want to go. But I notice that, and when I do, I try to change that, or I at least acknowledge the fact that I'm thinking that way. Because nobody's perfect. You can't get up every single day and be just perfect, and because shit happens in life. Shit's tough. But it's that discipline that'll help to get you through those tough times, to get you through, to keep the same routine going and help push you through that tough times rather than sit in bed all day. 'Cause it's, never good. But also to add, I think, kind of what you're going, I thought you were going to actually hit this, P. I was, a little excited, but it's like, you're if someone does something, you're so quick to be like, oh, well, you didn't do this. Person on TV, oh, you didn't do this, or, your wife or your spouse, oh, you did this. When's the last time you held yourself accountable for not doing something, not going to the gym, like, oh, I should go, but yet you're over here yelling at your significant other, I should have done this. Yeah, you should have done that. Yeah, well, when's the last time you held yourself accountable to, oh, you should have went to the gym, motherfucker. What's going to happen now? Like, everyone just lets it slide for themselves, but they're so quick to jump on everyone else. Like, for me, it should be the other way around. It should be like, hey, I'm pissed at myself, kind of like what you're saying, for not doing this. I should have went and did it. I should have done that. I should have just got up. I should have just done it. I missed my opportunity. Should beat yourself up so you don't let it happen again.
Part of growing, my particular situation where I felt like I matured and grew up is that I transitioned from that mentality to the mentality where I don't look around and be like, oh, like this didn't get taken care of. Like, why not? Type of thing to, well, why didn't I do this? Can I do this? Like, well, am I too tired to do it? Or is that really an excuse? And that's where the whole Power 15 thing that came up. I was just like, it's so easy to do. I mean, I'm kind of blown away sometimes because I'll set it on the microwave, boom, timer go. And then the amount of shit that I can accomplish in that 15 minutes that I would have felt bad for and beat myself up for is just crazy. But then it's just there and over and I feel great. And sometimes it won't even stop there. I'm like, well, I'm already doing this.
Yeah,
I've already set up a task.
Of it.
Yeah. And then I mean it's a good feeling and it reciprocates. I mean it's a good synergy for everyone around you because you might be that motivation someone else needs around you to do the same thing. And if not, that's cool. If they do pick up on it and want to, follow suit, then hey, I helped you. and look at this. Like, we feel accomplished, we feel better about ourselves for 15 minutes. It's such a little amount of
You
time.
can accomplish a lot in 15 minutes, though. You bust out the trash and, sweep the floor,
You could
vacuum some
fucking-
shit. You could do a lot.
All the mess you're looking around, look around right now. Look around wherever you're sitting and say, how long would this take to clean up?
15
what can
minutes.
I do around me? 15 is the answer.
Yeah, and then look how much time you spend on TikTok scrolling or Facebook or Instagram. For what?
All of a sudden, you're 9 minutes into cleaning and you're done. And you're like, shit, what do I do now? Well, you're not done. You got 6 minutes left.
Yeah.
Find something else.
Yeah, go ahead.
Then you get
shine your shoes.
You can overachieve, and then all of a sudden, your 15 is going to turn into 5, and you're just like, oh shit. Well, now what? Well, there's always 10 more. So find out that now what.
Yeah, and then transfer that into doing some shit that you want to do, your goals or whatever. Like, it's all transferable, same concept, just do some shit. And like, next time you're ready to point the finger and not hold yourself accountable, for not taking out the trash. Oh, I'm tired. Okay. Well, next time, whoever, your roommate or your spouse or, sister or whatever, brother, was supposed to do it and they didn't do it, you go and do it then. When if someone in my household doesn't do something, I don't complain. I don't say a goddamn word. I just go do it because it needs to be done. Okay, they're doing something. They might be tired today. Cool. I get it. I've been tired. I've neglected some things that I've had to do, and I don't do it. But same time, when people, you pick up a little slack. Just be helpful. Be a fucking best person you could be.
Yeah, because
Bottom
the
line.
15, when you don't do it, turns into 30, turns into 45, turns into an hour. They do 2 weeks, and then next thing you know, let's make a day of it. It's like, well, we just would have done that for a little bit all the time. Then we could have had that day to ourselves to do whatever the hell we want.
Yep. And that is our fucking lessons, like 100%. And then this is good shit. So, all we ask, share it up a little bit. If you learned something or you enjoyed it, share it to your friends, share it to your buddies, share it to someone who needs to hear it. Because we're not perfect and stuff, we'll preach. We definitely aren't 1,000% on like every single time, but it's shit we strive for. And the shit we probably succeed on doing on a day-to-day basis majority of the time. And it works for us, and it's probably going to work out a little for everyone else out there. At least the core concepts and stuff. And also, if you're in the comment section, fucking quit being a dweeb.
Knock it off. Let's knock it off. Take 15.
Oh, yeah. Go put your nose in the corner.
I think it was a good conversation, and definitely take a moment. Anything that you are unhappy with right now, take a second and try and think of a different perspective. Or instead of complaining about it, think of what you could do to make it better. And don't just think about it, apply it. There's a difference between thinking about it and applying it. Just go do it.
Yeah. Quit talking about it and be about it.
Hello.
I'm going to put that on a t-shirt.
Check out our merch section.
Oh, yeah. Soon. Check it out.
I'm just going to have 15.
Power 15. Yeah. Also, yeah. Appreciate all the love we've been getting lately. If you got any questions, comments, any concerns, anything like that, any topics you want to cover, feel free to reach out on tamedentertainment1@gmail.com, or who knows, TikTok, follow it up, leave a comment on a video. I mean, that's a different kind of comment. That's a different kind of one, Like, hey, or
switch, buddy.
Or, little DM, whatever you guys feel like, whatever the people do these days. But let us know. We would be more than happy to cover something that's, on your mind. Stuff like that.
All right. Love you guys.
Yeah, love y'all. Later.